You're a theater guy. Where's your vision for that?
Last night too, Eddie was going shopping today to buy stuff for the CD.
We'll call this meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. This is a regular meeting of the governing body of the Borough of Bloomingdale, Tuesday, March 18th. I ask everyone to please now rise to salute our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Roll call, please.
Mayor Dudley.
Here.
Councilmembers Yazdi.
Here.
Costa.
Here.
D'Amato.
Here.
Del Ripa.
Here.
Hudson. Here. Sondemire.
Here. Also with us, our municipal clerk, Jane McCarthy, and our borough attorney, Fred Semra. Welcome, everyone. This is an official meeting of the governing body of the Borough of Bloomingdale on January 4th of 2014. The date, time, and place of this meeting was faxed and mailed to all local news media and posted here at Bloomingdale Municipal Building. Now, we have a few presentations this evening, so we'll begin with those. And I'd ask Jane if you would join me off the dais. And council would like to join me as well. Wonderful. You guys want to take that for room? Make more room? Come down. So good evening, everyone. How are you guys?
How are you?
Well, thank you very much for coming tonight. And we have some very, very, very special guests with us. We have our Martha B. Day. Someone moved their laptop or something here. Good, thank you. We have a very special guests here this evening. We have our Martha B. Day kindergarten class, those who came in this evening, to recognize you for something very special that you did, and we're going to talk about that. And we also have our fourth graders, who are those who were part of the Passaic County poster contest, and we want to honor them and thank them for representing Bloomingdale so well here today. Well, first we'll start with our kindergarten class. Who's in the kindergarten class? Raise your hand really, really high. All right, guys, we're here, thank you, to tell you how proud we are for what you did for our wounded veterans on Valentine's Day, sending them special notes. That is just so special, so we had to have you here. Thank you for that. I want to introduce now a very special friend of the councils and the towns. Ms. Jane McCarthy is our borough clerk. She runs the show. She runs everything. And Jane has dedicated her life to veterans. Jane had a son who served many, many times, who's sadly no longer with us, but he served in the military. And Jane and her daughter, who may show up, she had an emergency.
She's not coming.
Okay. Have dedicated their lives to veterans as well. So I know Jane wants to say a few words before we give a presentation to all of you. Okay, please. You go first.
Yep. Good evening. I'm so happy. I'm just going to read this because it's a little emotional for me, but I'm so happy to see you all here and to be able to personally thank you and your teacher, Erica Chapman, for bringing Valentine for Vets program to our attention. We in Bloomingdale are so proud of you all for helping making the Veterans Day a little bit brighter and bring a smile to their faces. Our veterans are happy to serve their country, and especially when they receive thank you cards and know what they do is appreciated. You're all very good citizens and know the importance of our flag and what it means. Our John A. Dean American Coast, we're so happy to hear of your project that they brought some flags over for each one of you. And we hope that you wave it proudly this Memorial Day at the parade. My daughter and granddaughter would have been here tonight to thank you on behalf of the Sergeant Levy Memorial Fund, but had an emergency, so I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for letting these men and women know how much you care. I spoke with your teacher and she said you deserve a special treat. So from the fund, we have established for our veterans and their families, and the people at Dairy Queen and Kinnelon would like to give you a treat of an ice cream whenever you want to go up there from Dairy Queen and Kinnelon. and they're also proud of what you've done. Remember, acts of kindness do not go unnoticed, and continue to do what you are doing. Thank you, and God bless America and our veterans.
Thank you, Jim. Before I introduce, I'm going to announce everybody, so if someone's not here, Mrs. Chapman, I'll give you the certificate and give it to class. Gene, I asked you to hand the flags up. Council President asked me to ask you if you would hand out the ice cream coupons as the kids come up. And most ex-senior member, Councilman D'Amato, every student is also going to get our borough pin. It's the one that the mayor and the council wear. So you're going to get a special pin to keep in a safe place. Remember the special evening. So, absolutely. Take pictures. When we're done, we'll take a group shot. Okay. So, Councilman Della Ripa, if you'd begin, and again, thank you all for what you've done. And you know what? Read, if you would, the inscription that you're all going to read. We'll read that once. What's on the certificate and each person's name.
Your participation in the Valentine's for Vet program has shown your spirit of pride and enthusiasm in support of our men and women who give so much to our country. On behalf of the Mayor and Council and the citizens of the Borough of Bloomingdale, thank you for your active patriotism, and we declare March 18, 2014 as Martha V. Day, Kindergartners Class Day in the Borough of Bloomingdale, presented this 18th day of March 2014.
Caitlin or Rhonda? Caitlin here? Come on up, Caitlin. You have a lot to hold here. I need another hand. Congratulations. You can just stay. Great.
Matthew
Okay, the last name?
Benvenuto.
No? Okay, we'll keep going.
Samuel Brigade.
Okay.
Ivy Campbell.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
And Adrian
That's the most important
Gonzalez.
one there. No, the flag's the most important.
Adrian. Emily Jackal.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Shake your hand, we have so much
Frank Lacasio. Congratulations, Frank.
Thank you.
Sadie Matthews. Sadie Matthews.
Go Sadie.
Kylie McKernan. Christopher Miller. No Chris Miller. Joey Hart Missa. Miza? Joey? No. Darlene Morales.
Councilman?
Brady Newberger.
Nicholas Parkinson.
Congratulations about that.
Alania Perez.
Alana?
Dyer. And Mia Ribeiro.
Chase Story. Sabrina Tripaldi. Morgan Vogel. David Watrova. Okay. Daniel Wilson, I know is here. Congratulations, Daniel.
Congratulations, buddy.
Amani.
Is that everybody?
Yeah, before we call the kids in front, we'll group for a picture. You know, Jane has a special present for Mrs. Chapman. But before I call Mrs. Chapman, I'd first like to introduce Principal Mrs. Mallon. So if you can join us up here.
I just want to thank parents for teaching their children great values, and I really want to thank the Mayor and Council for acknowledging these kids. I think this really sets a tone with them very young, and I hope it makes an impression. I hope that you realize how important what you did was and how good it made people feel. And we really thank you for taking of them. And if I might, while I'm here, just thank everybody for their support on our recent referendum, the taxpayers, the mayor, and council. It meant a lot. We're going to have even more data. So thank you all. Great job.
Thank you as well.
Oh, thank you.
And we give a big round of applause for Mrs. Chapman.
Thank you, Bert.
Thank you. Stay up here. Kids, come on up in front of us here, and the council can tighten up, and we'll kind of, parents want to take a picture. Thank you guys. By your belly button.
Put them down by your belly. That's it.
There you go.
Ready? Go
Guys,
down.
we're gonna get real quick. Jane, you gotta go front next to Cheryl. I mean, next to Erica. Guys, I'd ask if everybody take a seat. We have one more presentation I want you to stay for, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, guys, thanks again for staying. We have one more presentation. Every year, the County of Passaic has a poster contest. And I have a supply, if anyone before you go would like to grab one. And it's a calendar contest. And it represents every month and a picture for every month. And there's a lot of competition because all the public schools throughout the county, fourth graders, that is, submit posters to be on the calendar. So we had 3 students that were either named honorable mention, because again, there's a lot of competition, not everyone makes the calendar. And we had 1 student, I don't think he's with us tonight, who actually is representing the SRD school for the month of March. I don't see her here this evening. So again, I want to congratulate those participants, and I believe we just have 1 here this evening, and I will read the certificate and call it that individual. So, a certificate of achievement in recognition of your honorable mention award received in the 18th annual 2014 Passaic County Poster Calendar Contest. We commend you for representing your community and the Samuel R. Donald School with your talent and creativity, presented proudly by the governing body of the Borough of Bloomingdale this 18th day of March 2014, and I proudly present it to Deanna Rankin. Actually, pretty well. Is this the shirt you have for that? Yeah. Look at that. County clerk, let's let everyone see it.
Very nice.
With us this evening, we had another honorable mention, which will be presented to Ariana Colin, and our fourth grader who made the calendar is Joanna Catalana. So we'll make sure they get their certificates. And again, I thank you all for being here. I thank the kindergartners for what you've done. Deanna, thank you for your participation. You all make the borough very, very proud, and make me as mayor very proud of each and every one of you. So thank you. And if we can have one more round of applause for all the great kids. Again, thank you, teachers, principal, and parents for being here tonight. We'll take a 5-minute recess so we can go back to our business, and have a great evening. We'll resume. I think we can our turn here. We do have a few non-agenda items, so I'll mention those in case any member of the public wishes to speak to them. The first is going to be a resolution. I'm sorry? 2.3 when we get to 3.3. Which... No, we're going to, I'm just ignoring the number. Just introducing the non-agenda items. Support of a water tax to fund the loss of land equity for property owners in the Highland region. Now, this has been bantered about in the Assembly and Senate for many, many years. This would be a tax for users of water that comes from the Highlands. So, for example, a town like West Milford, who is pretty much 90% in the Highlands, lost all the equity to their land and value and can't develop, et cetera. So for years they've been lobbying to put a 50-cent tax on the people who get the water from their town. So for example, like Newark gets water from West Milford. So it's a resolution supporting the water tax to fund that loss for these municipalities. Again, we are in the Highlands, but we don't supply water out of our town. Some may ask where Butler Reservoirs is in the Highlands, but they have not lost land equity value. In other words, because of the Highlands, it protects the reservoir, which is a great thing, but it doesn't prohibit any future growth of other land in Butler. So I don't foresee this affecting us down the road when we begin to use Butler water in 2015. So it's a resolution supporting a water tax to fund the loss of land equity. I'll just read a few points from it. The New Jersey portion of the National Highlands region is about 800,000 acres, or about 1,250 square miles, covering portions of 88 municipalities and 7 counties. The legislation further defines and declares that the Highlands is an essential source of drinking water, providing clean and plentiful drinking water for 1/2 of the state's population, including communities well beyond the Highlands, from only 13% of state land. The value and equity of these lands have decreased dramatically, and those property owners of these townships and in the Highlands Act region. Those townships are also restricted in bringing economic opportunity, jobs, and growth, force existing taxpayers to pay higher amounts due to lack of growth and smart development. So again, we're supporting those towns. We've been asked by the league and surrounding municipalities to do so. And so I ask that will be a non-agenda item when we get to new business. The second item is approving renewal on our shared service with Kinnelon and our mechanic services, which went extremely well last year. Well, I'll talk in detail when we get to that on the agenda as well. I believe those are the only two items, Gene? Oh, the handbook. The third item is we will be amending per our joint insurance fund, our employee handbook for some various items, language required by the joint insurance fund, which I'll speak to. So 3 items: water tax resolution, shared service with Kinnelon mechanic, and amending our policy handbook. 3 non-agenda items we'll speak to tonight. With that said, I need a motion to open public comment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to speak to an agenda item, please come up, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, motion is closed.
Second.
Okay, reports. Jane, do you have anything for us?
Nothing at this time. The principal referred to the referendum that passed. Other than that, I have nothing else.
Okay, and just, Jane, thank you very much for honoring the students with us tonight and putting that together. Appreciate that immensely. Fred, do you have anything for us this evening?
No, Mayor. Good, thank you.
Council members?
Hey, John.
Yes.
We, as the Environmental Commission, met on the 5th of March, and there was some concern or questions about possibly having a commingled bin down at the, where they drop off for recycling.
Down at the UPW on weekends?
Yeah. Maybe every other Saturday or something to that effect. It was addressed by more than one member, and it's just a thought.
Yeah, I'll address it right now. I think it was a hotter topic this year than most because we had 2 times there was no recycle pickup, so people's commingles accumulated. In the past, the borough did have a dumpster at the yard for people to bring. Now, if it's Monday through Friday, it would have to be during operation hours, but you have to have someone there to check ID and make sure proper items are being dumped. So we really can't spare Monday through Friday during our 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. hours the manpower to monitor such a dumpster. Now, on Saturdays, for those who may know or may not, we do have the recycling centers open from 8 to 12 for newspaper dropping. We do not extend it for Saturdays because in the past, the problem was illegal dumping.
Right.
They had numbers and numbers of problems with contractors getting in, even after hours, whether it was jury rigging the fence or hopping, whatever they did, major illegal dumping, which ultimately increases our cost. And the theory behind it for years, and we can talk about Councilor Schuster's too, was that we pick up twice a month. You know, right? Bi-weekly we pick up commingles, which should be sufficient every other week.
But we are open Saturday morning.
But not for commingle, just for newspaper. Saturday's just newspaper. We can't bring commingle.
But when a person comes and dumps the newspaper and they come and dump the commingle, somebody has to be there.
Because they don't want to have that dumpster. We need a place to put it. You can't have, we pick up our recycles with garbage trucks. We don't have special recycle trailers like you see in some towns. We can't have it dumped in a garbage truck because Monday morning we need that garbage truck for garbage.
That was the question.
Okay? I would argue if we had a trailer, like you see in towns driving down the road, dumping recycles in, maybe a little more doable. So the issue, Councilman, is a dumpster to put it in, and then a dumpster that can then be hauled to our recycle center. I believe all those variables, plus the illegal dumping, just made it warranted not to offer before any of our time, and then we've just stuck with that policy. It's something we can refer to committee, government ops can talk about it. I'm just giving you the history of why we don't have that today. And I believe it wouldn't have been stopped if there wasn't issues with it, number one, and number two. We have to invest in equipment and the like to do so.
So the newspapers now, they go to dumpster, right? Or do they go, where do they go?
They go in a dumpster,
In a
yes.
dumpster. So a truck comes and picks that up, or do we transfer
No,
that?
the truck comes and picks it up. Green Sky picks that up with our white metal and other metal. Yeah.
So if we were able to put another dumpster at the same time,
We can talk, again, all right. You know, we can ask for a motion to refer, I'll just refer to government ops, talk to the superintendent, and that's the wishes of the governing body.
the other funds are the place to put it.
It is having a place to put it, storing it until you, I believe we pick up, 26 times a year. I think it's.
So I think our long-term goal
Well,
Well, it says to have some type of recycling center.
our long-term goal is to, at DPW yard safely, when we can achieve it, is have a recycling center. So residents can actually bring steady hours, have, when revenue makes sense to do so and all that makes sense.
So the recycling center is still in the works?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mayor, the Board of Health, as I'm the liaison, they introduced and passed a first reading on March 3rd for amending one of the retail food establishment regulations. It has to do with placards and making the placards more visible. It's the evaluation placard that every single retail food establishment has. So this will now make them more visible. The final reading will be on May 5th at 7 p.m.
So if someone receives an unsatisfactory for Board of Health conditions, Board of Health wants that to be more
More visible.
conspicuous. And if you would read the specs, and is it
Absolutely.
5 feet from the front door or something like that?
The main entrance door from 4 to 6 feet off the ground or the floor, a front window within 5 feet of the main entrance, a display case mounted on the outside wall within 5 feet of the main entrance. If there is no direct entrance to the street, the health department shall determine an appropriate posting location in prominent public view. It's a good thing.
Yeah, thank you. Rich?
Yes, I had two things. For the Drug Alliance, as you probably know, the Drug Alliance is having a basketball game on Wednesday, April 9th at 6:30 p.m. The theme is Unity Through Community, and the teams are going to be mixed this year. I know past year was like teachers versus police and fire department or something like that. I'm not sure exactly whether they're going to be drafting or how they're going to figure out the composition of the teams. But it's not going to be one organization against another.
Oh, really? So I know they asked for rosters, fire.
Right, basically they wanted volunteers, and then they're going to figure out, hopefully, a well-balanced grouping on each side.
A lot of oxygen.
We won a rematch from last year, so we want this to be separate.
And the emphasis of the event is the halftime, where Officer Dan Greenwood will be presenting the dangers of drug and alcohol. They're planning on having an obstacle course that's supposed to simulate the effects of being driving impaired, the drunk goggles and stuff like that. So, it's mainly an educational thing.
Yeah, it's wonderful program. Thank you.
The other thing is, last night, the Board of Education introduced their budget to send to the Executive Superintendent's Office for review. So it's not a final budget. But some highlights of that, the local tax levy increase is 1.47%, which puts them under cap by approximately $82,000. As a comparison, the referendum estimate published was $86,000. I'll point out that their state aid only went up $17,000 for the year. It was that's a 0.89% increase. They've emptied their tuition reserve account to pay for costs related to public high school chargebacks. They are also putting $1.2 million from the general fund surplus. I can give a copy of this. No, I mean, James tried to scribble it all down. So those are the highlights. Their final public budget hearing is Friday, April 25th at 7 p.m. at the Walter T. Pershing Library. That's when they'll formally adopt the budget, once it comes back from the county on whatever, things the county wants to change. So,
Great, thank you so much.
Rich, was that saying how much per nostril?
I don't have the numbers because I just have some spreadsheets that have information on it. I believe they have those information, based on whatever Mr. Towns has sent them, but I know they said that it could have gone up another, whatever the number is, they could have gone up another $68 per household and didn't. So, recognizing that last year was a very severe year in terms of tax increases. So they recognized that and brought it down. Obviously it's still an increase, but they recognize that they needed to soften the blow from last year. Plus, of course, the added hit from the referendum costs. Thanks again.
Anyone else have anything? Okay, thank you, everyone. Our consent agenda, I need a motion, and I'll discuss the items. Who moves our consent agenda?
Second.
I'm sorry.
resolutions would be 3.3 and 3.4. that are
Okay,
included.
there, 3.3, what, you mean to 3.3?
3.3, right, 3.4. No, we're doing your
Okay. Say that again, 3.3?
and 3.4.
Okay, because they're moving on to consent. And I'm sorry, do we have a second? Second. Any discussion? Just a couple things you can read. There's Eagle Scout Christopher Kyle Evan Blay from Butler, who we will be sending a resolution to for his Eagle Scout coronation, requesting road closure for Memorial Day. And we obviously already authorized this, but we did it by motion, the approval of our walking track grant from State County. We just need to give it a resolution number, so we do it by consent this evening. And roll call.
Councilmembers Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Del Rippe.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, there's no pending business at this time. Well, there's actually tons of pending business, but I'll need to speak of this moment. New business, adoption resolution 2014 3.5, payment of the bills. Who makes that motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers D'Amato.
Yes.
Del Rippe.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes, with the exception of PO 14-00374 for 22482.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
Thank you. Item B, adoption of tax office resolutions 2014 3.6 through 3.9. Again, tax title lien redemptions. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please. Sorry.
Councilmembers Del Rippe.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes. Thank you. Item C, adoption resolution 2014 3.10, tax appeal for 62 Reeve Ave. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Just to bring it to everyone's attention, this was recommended as a settlement by our tax assessor, reviewed by our attorney. Original assessment amount 217, 2011, requested amount 153.4. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Hudson.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Del Rippe.
Yes.
Adoption resolution 2014 3.11, transferred to 2013 appropriations. Who makes the motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Other than you can see the lines that money's coming out of in 13, going to streets and roads, and I can give you one guess as to why. The wonderful winter that was upon us bright and early. The amount of $23,625. And roll call, please.
Councilmember Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato. Del Rippe.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Item E, adoption of resolution 2014 3.12. We are doing a resolution amending our multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. I have completed a grant application for $140,000 for generators. And what we're seeking will be to put a permanent generator at a senior center, permanent generator at our fireman's hall for sheltering and emergency service personnel as well, and 2 portable generators for pumping stations throughout town, large portables on trailers, and to have the ability to, again, fire our pumping stations, our sewer pumping stations, animal shelter if needed, utility building if needed. Although the utility building we may be able to tie from the firehouse, those are things we have to look into. And part of that is just amending it, so if you see item number 5 in the resolution, provide backup power to senior center for shelter use and portables for pump station and additional sheltering. The reason being is that statement was not in our original hazardous emergency plan. That's all we're doing here. And roll call, please. Any other comment? I'm sorry. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Del Rippe.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
And then we'd like to adopt Resolution 2014 3.13, supporting and welcoming the Special Olympics and to the athletes and volunteers to the state of New Jersey, June 14th through the 21st, 2014. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Just, some components of the resolution are quite impressive. In 2014, the U.S. Games will feature nearly 3,500 athletes competing in 16 Olympic-style sports with the support of over 1,000 coaches, 10,000 volunteers, and estimated 70,000 family, friends, and spectators, which will be held June 14th to the 21st throughout Mercer County, including Princeton University, Rider University, College of New Jersey, Lawrenceville, Hunt School of Princeton, Petty School, Sun National Bank Center, Mercer County Park, Brunswick Zone, Collier, and Middlesex, and the opening ceremony will be Prudential Center in Newark. So we're welcoming and supporting. Roll call.
Councilmembers Costa.
Yes.
Tomato. Delariva.
Yes.
Hudson. Yes. Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Item G, I need a motion to sadly accept the resignation of Caitlin Cupshaw, who served so well in many years as our part-time animal control officer, though we need to congratulate her because she has been seeking and did achieve full-time status in another municipality, just extending her own professional career. So I need a motion to accept that resignation.
Second?
And again, we thank Caitlin for her years of service. It is a loss, it's a big loss, and that is effective March 23rd. We are in the process of interviewing to replace that part-time position. So I would hope on our April 1st agenda that'll be there to hire. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Hudson. Yes. Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
Therefore, there's no action on item H at this time. I just put that on the agenda with anticipation that we may be ready to hire, hopefully or not. Item I and J, okay? I put these on there, thinking I would take action this evening, or recommend action this evening, which I'm not going to, because we have a little bit of time. I need to talk to our engineer a little bit, but let me talk about each specific grant. We eventually soon, hopefully April 1st, will be doing resolutions to submit these two grants. The first is Safe Streets to School. This is a program where you seek funding where the objectives are to enable and encourage children in grades K-8, including those with disabilities, to walk or bicycle to school, to make bicycling and walking to school safer and more appealing transportation alternative. The bottom line is most of this funding is sidewalks. And before I ask for any authorization tonight, I'd ask all of you to think about what you may like. The pot of money is small, it's very competitive. We haven't had much success in this in the past, but worth the submission, worth the try. So I'm going to sit this week with our engineer and see if he has some recommendations. What may be something to consider. If you have time in school, I'd love to see more sidewalks on Union Ave, but I don't know if that's enough of a selling point for school. Rafting, we're doing that this year, and moving in nearly the kind of funding we need to do that stretch of road. Possibly we could do something by SOD or Pleasant View. Those are the kind of things we want to look at. So put your thinking caps on and send me some thoughts in email. And the deadline is May 15th, so I would hope on the 1st we can move on it. If not, 15th of April. Still gives me time to get an application. Okay? So that's just there for information. Jane, you carry that on to the next agenda. The next one is transportation alternative programs. When I first saw this, I put it on the agenda because I thought it was our normal transportation enhancement application, which is the one where we receive per rafting. And we're waiting for notice on Starlake Road. That was our last year's application. The rumor on that is it's on the governor's desk. Funding, that is, an award should come shortly. He was holding off until the state budget was done. But we're a little behind. We hear about it now every year. So it's not that application, so that should be forthcoming. But this is transportation alternatives. Here again, put your thinking caps on. Should we apply? What are some ideas? Here are one of the 7 criteria you must fall under. Provisions for facilities for bicycles and pedestrians. Scenic or historic highway programs, including provisions for tourists and welcome center facilities such as scenic turnouts, overlooks, and viewing areas. Landscaping and other scenic beautification. Pretty generic. Historic preservation. Rehabilitation of historic transportation buildings, structures, and facilities, including railroad facilities and canals. Preservation of abandoned railway corridors, and informational mitigation to address water pollution from highway runoff to reduce vehicular cause wildlife mortality, et cetera. So, you know, there's some potential for us there, landscape and other scenic, et cetera. And again, we look to tie in with the leisure funding for history value there. Things I want you all to think about, and I will also speak with our engineer on that. Okay? So there's no action to be taken. Those will carry, and I assume we'll submit something. I just want to get a little more homework in before I recommend something. Please give me recommendations as well. Okay? So moving right along, I need a motion to open late public comment. What about the... Oh, I'm sorry. See, that was a test. Make sure everyone's paying attention. Not bad. We have 3 non-agenda items, as I mentioned earlier. That was so kindly reminded. Okay. Okay, we'll call it. Need a motion to move resolution 2014 3.14, which is the water tax resolution supporting, I'll read title J and give you a sample. Support a water tax to fund the loss of land equity to property owners. Excuse me?
Mayor, with respect to that resolution, working with about 6 municipalities, Vernon, West Milford, Camelon, Rockland, they started with the water, kind of a surcharge or tax, and now what they're looking at is to introduce legislation, Assemblywoman DeCroce, to just talk about how to value the land, commercial lands differently. So I may suggest for the governing body to perhaps table this to a later date, and I can get more information for you.
That's fine. No, I'm fine with that. Everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
And that would be based on pending
legislation. Legislation that may be introduced shortly.
Okay. All right. So we don't want to contradict that. We're going to end up supporting the revaluing of land as a
We
result.
also talked about, not that it will happen, it might happen, but we're the only contract about that. Somehow that will get taxed. Because we're all not going to be here, they're all not going to be there, and then later date they...
Right, but if it becomes state law, then you're not going to be able to write that out in the option.
So then they can just do it.
If there's proven land decreased value, like I stated. Well, there's only land in the highlands, it's the reservoir itself. So it's not like we're losing the ability to develop or tax it. This is what the tax was about. Well, we will table it. So did I have a motion on that? I'm sorry. Didn't even get to that. Okay. So there's no one other than
If it's just withdrawn at this point, I'll get the information.
So I'll withdraw that request, and that's fine. So we'll stay on top of that to see which is the best way to go. So therefore, item number 2 was approval of our Kinnelon mechanic shared service. It was a great success. Last year, the rates have been adjusted with the 2% cap in mind, increase from the subsequent year. And Kinnelon is happy with the service. Our mechanics were very well able to handle the service. And I know you're going to ask me how much did it end up netting last year. I would conservatively say just about $10,000. Don't hold me to that number. It's in the range of $7,000 to $10,000. So the borough brought in as revenue saving Kinnelon money as well. And this is just for the police cars. And they may grow. You know, we should try, but this contract's for police cars. And remember, we studied the rate last year, $55 per hour rate. It was enough to cover our costs, our pension costs, and health insurance costs, et cetera. Sharing the cost with Kinnelon. And who makes that motion? So, do you want a resolution on it? Or just approving the agreement? Resolution?
It's a shared service.
Yeah.
3-year, right?
We call it a resolution, and we can give it a number.
Yeah, okay. We'll, 1 second, Mike. We will,
I thought the Constitution said it was 3-year.
yeah, determining date, I want you to check it, December 31st, 2016.
So the first year it stays the same, and then the next 2 is 2% increase.
Correct. And so I'll look for a motion for resolution 2014 3.14, the shared service agreement for mechanical services, police department, vehicles of Borough Kinnelon and Borough Bloomingdale. Who makes that motion? Second. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call please.
Councilmembers Del Rippe.
Yes.
Hudson. Yes. Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
And our final new business item was, I need a resolution, 2014 3.15, amending and updating the employee handbook of policies and procedures manual for the Borough of Bloomingdale. Every 2 years, our joint insurance fund does a reevaluation of our policy procedures, which we need to comply by May 1st. We've been doing some intense training with staff to satisfy the requirement here. Fred's lending a hand with me to complete this as well. But simply one of the things we have to do is change wording in our policy and procedures. And our existing policy and procedures came from the JIP initially. So this is just amending the wording. For example, remove the email, voicemail, computer, internet usage policy and replace it with the communication media policy. In the use of vehicle policy, add at the end, department heads may create an exception to use of vehicle policy. Medical and Family Medical Leave Act of the manual, replace it with the Municipal Excess Liability Funds model policy. Domestic violence leave policy, again, we're amending to the MELS model policy. And then the fifth item was simply timesheets and payments for accumulated absence. We're adopting MELS new policy as well. And again, same with the workers' comp policy form, we're adopting the MELS model policy. What this does for us, it allows us to continue part of the incentive programs. The $250 discount we get for taking the training is all part of this wide incentive program. This particularly applies to the employment practices liability, and it allows us to buy down deductibles and better our coverages as a result of complying with intense safety measures, as we do in the borough. We're in really good shape on a safety standpoint and a loss run standpoint as well. Find some wood now. So that's the resolution we'll be moving, and so I will make that motion.
Mayor, can I just think about that? Sure. You're right, it actually gives the borough the opportunity to have the lowest possible deductibles, because without taking all these measures, there's been members of the joint insurance funds, where their deductible has been twice the amount of your deductible. Say it's $20,000 for a claim, it's 40 if you don't take these steps anyway. I really have to say, just based on my familiarity with that fund and with the borough, in the last two years, you've totally changed from just kind of barely meeting the compliance to exceeding at this point. And I just point out, because your police department now has the accreditation,
Their official
which is a plus, real big plus. And you've utilized the training like you've never had before, and you're even hosting the training for the region on Friday. And we did the training last year as well, but this is just another step, and you just have all the requirements met by the carrier, and even more so. So it's really been positive.
Thank you.
And the participation that the borough's had with the fund, because the membership recognizes that.
It's important. One of my goals was to make sure everyone's bought into the safety program, and everyone has. Every department head, every staff member, and like I said, without knock on wood, what are called loss ratios in the business of insurance, where your loss experience over a period of time. Ours are just, I think we're ranked 5th in the entire insurance fund.
I think, don't hold to this, but about 2 years ago, your 3-year average was near the bottom half, very much near the bottom, and it has really changed. And I just want the council to know that these changes to the personnel policy, that's to comply with the MELS recommendation. If down the road there's an issue that comes up and you say, we'd like to change something in the policy manual, which you've done before, that doesn't preclude you from doing it. You're not locked in, but these are recommended changes based on things that have come up in litigation and things of that nature. That's recommended.
And obviously making the recognition for smart reason. Great. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilmembers Hudson. Yes. Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Del Rippe.
Yes.
Thank you. Just one more note on the safety issue. Like I said, every department head and staff member is truly bought in. I'm really intense about the safety and making sure seminars are taken and attended, and everyone is just very compliant. So Fred mentioned a moment ago, we're hosting for the gym this Friday, at Fireman's Hall, so I think the firemen are letting us use it. The attendance is over 51 now, 26 of our own, which is nice to keep it in-house, so our staff can stay in town for the 3-hour course without having to leave. But it's going to be managerial and supervisory training, which actually Fred and associate are putting on. So it's going to be good. All right. So thank you all, and I need a motion to open to late public comment.
Second.
Anyone wishing to speak, please come on up, state your name and address for the record. I'm seeing no one, so I'll have a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor? Our next meeting is April 1st, a work session, and our regular meeting April 15th, both at 7 p.m. We will enter into executive session with one matter of negotiation. If action was to be taken in public comment, we'll probably have the opportunity to give comment. The motion to go in executive? So moved. Second? All in favor?
Aye.